locals urged to surrender guns. Public servants asked to be servants of God. And teams set up to review police recruitment.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Tuesday's news. Locals in Hela have been encouraged to surrender illegal firearms to authorities. This was the message echoed by security forces during the official launch parade of the call-out yesterday in Tari. The call-out operation is also part of the gun moratorium re-announced by the national government late last month.
Over 300 police and PNG Defence Force personnel held a parade in the Hela capital to launch the call-out operation. Their presence was to restore law and order and stop the current violence in the province. Yesterday's parade delighted locals, with security forces appealing to warlords to surrender unlicensed firearms. Local leaders were also present to witness the launching. The call-out operation will begin with the joint forces carrying out awareness in areas where tribal fights are rife. Before 28th of February, those who surrender illegal firearms will not be arrested. The second phase of the operation is the arrest of those who fail to surrender firearms. Local leaders have also called on the people to surrender any firearms in their possession. The operation will be in effect for 30 days with the release of 5 million kina from the 11 million announced by the government. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Morobe Province is looking to finish off its preparations before the election dates. Election Manager for Morobe, Simon Soheke, says a submission of 21 million kina to fund the election operations in the province is yet to be approved. However, the PNG Electoral Commission has allocated more than 109,000 kina to the 9 districts to fund elections in their own electorates.
Morobe has 9 electorates, 33 LLGs and 568 wards, and with a voting population of more than 400,000, it requires a collaborative effort from all stakeholders in order to deliver a successful election. The election will be counter-funded by the PNG Electoral Commission and the districts. The total operational cost is about $500,000 kina.
Providing us all 109,700 funding nego, but this was not enough. So one district only taking ownership now. They chipped in some money. Now the total for the 9 districts 395,000.
Morobe's election office has already done 3 recruitments. The first recruitment was for 2 assistant returning officers, while the second recruitment was for enrollment agents and ward enrollment committees. The third recruitment was done for coordinators, checkers and data processing officers.
Role update, and we have already completed 7 wards, 7 LLGs and fully complete, comprising of 121 wards. By the end of this week, we should be able to complete 200 wards. Rolls Longolo Mosby, now printing, Salimi come back for objection.
Soheke says his office is planning to use the local manpower in each of the districts or LLGs, which will cut down on cost of airlifting workers to remote areas. However, the biggest challenge is to carry out awareness. The Morobe provincial government in this year's budget has allocated 1 million kina to support the election operations. Provincial Program Advisor Roy Naheb says, among other things, the 1 million kina will be focused mainly on election awareness and election roll updates.
Work long election and stop long and by Halloween Electoral Commission on display.
Martha Louise, National EMTV News, Lay.
Opposition leader Don Polies says the changes to election dates proposed by the Electoral Commission is wrong. Polia says this would be an injustice to intending candidates and the ordinary public. The opposition leader said the National Executive Council should not interfere with necessary recommendation for proposed legislation when Parliament resumes this year.
The leader of the opposition spoke to the media today, calling on the Electoral Commission to play its role and not to be dictated by any other office. Polia said the change of dates is unfair to those contesting the 2017 national elections.
Voters also need to assess those candidates very well before they cast their votes. The citizens need to assess individual candidates who present themselves as leaders of the country within 4 weeks. That cannot be adequately achieved.
Polia expressed his concern after Electoral Commissioner Patilius Gamato made changes to dates for the issuing of writs from 20th April to 20th May. This means the tentative dates for the return of writs on 24th July will also be affected.
Why all of a sudden all this has to change? Why depriving voters and candidates of this very valuable time of campaign by cutting the campaign period by 1 month? That's a lot of period cut. Why is it cut down to 1 month? The candidates out there would want to campaign and sell themselves as candidates, as leaders to the people for their votes.
The opposition leader said past general elections have not seen this trend, and this move questions the credibility of the Electoral Commission as an independent body.
He has not maintained the constitutionality of the office that he occupies. He has not maintained the independence of the office of the Electoral Commission.
The alteration of dates will now see intending candidates campaign for a month and not 2 as done in previous general elections in the country. Jack Lapawe Jr., National EMTV News.
Public servants in NCD had a dedication service at the Sir John Guy's Indoor Complex today. The dedication service was the first of its kind in the country. Chief Secretary to Government Isaac Lupari says this was an important path to take in uniting all public servants to work in unison.
The first NCD Public Servants Dedication Service was organized by the Department of Community Development and Religion.
This is the first of its kind initiative of the department. I'm really happy that Chief Secretary and DPM Secretary have really put their weight behind this. They've given it a lot of support.
She says this event should also be carried out in other parts of the country as well.
Public Service Secretary will be getting it into NEC to have it gazetted as an annual calendar event.
The invited guests witnessed the public servants recite the public service oath. The dedication service was proposed to be part of the national calendar for the entire public service to dedicate themselves at the beginning of every year.
What we have agreed upon my consultation with all my colleagues is that we will make it an annual event. So we'll get a submission to Cabinet. Cabinet will then endorse that dedication service be held first week or second week of every year, and it will be throughout the country. So every public servant in where they work in the locality on that day will have a dedication service.
Along with that, Bible study was also proposed to be introduced into the education curriculum. Gaile Kivali, National EMTV News.
All public servants are servants of God. This was highlighted by Elder Philip Vaki, a changed man who once served time in prison. Public servants in the thousands attended the dedication service today.
Public servants were charged from God's Word by Elder Philip Vaki at the Public Service Dedication Service today. Elder Vaki challenged that all public servants need to know their full potential and their values must be in line with God.
And I want to embrace and encourage you that what the Public Service Secretary had said is true. We must know our oath of loyalty. We must know our values. So long as our values are in line with the mind of Christ.
Elder Vaki urged the public servants to change and acknowledge that they were chosen and called by God to give the best in their contribution to the development of this nation. CBE Chief Secretary to Government Isaac Lupari also challenged public servants to take ownership and change their way of conduct in the workplace.
Sometimes we must learn to be humble ourselves, learn to respect one another, and even give credit where it's due.
Sawato Hahambu, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Morobe Provincial Education Board will be reviewing its decision on the amount charged for school fees imposed this year. This came after PEB decided to impose school fees this year for all schools starting from elementary. The decision was made due to the delay in the payment of the tuition fee-free funds.
After a briefing this morning with the Provincial Program Advisor, PEB was asked to review its decision on fees charged to parents this year. The Program Advisor will then bring the matter up to the National Education Board for approval this week.
Due to the delay in the payment of the TFF funds, PEB had met and decided that fees would be charged by the board to parents for all schools in Morobe this year. Some schools throughout the country had not received the TFF funds on time last year, which caused schools to close up early. Schools are yet to receive the TFF for this year.
The Provincial Education Board said the school fees paid by parents will help some schools to operate to the end of the year. Parents and guardians will be notified on the fees charged by PEB once the decision is made available next week. Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
The University of Goroka has announced a major policy shift on the payment of fees for the 2017 academic year. The policy shift will require students to pay their fees directly from their own bank accounts rather than from sponsors or guardians. The university announced that the change was necessary because it will enable students to pay the required amount rather than paying additional fees to the university.
In a statement received by EMTV News, the university announced that for the first time, students will be required to pay fees direct from their personal bank accounts. The change in policy is to stop the university from accumulating excess funds and to allow for students to pay the required amount. In 2016, the university had excess funds of nearly 2 million kina. This was the result of fees being overpaid from various sources. The university also announced that excess funds paid by provincial governments will only be refunded to the state, as it is state funds. The same for corporate entities who are sponsoring students. Meanwhile, Vice-Chancellor Professor Musawe Sinebare has announced that the university is determined to start the year on a high note. 2017 also marks the 20th anniversary of UOG, when it changed from a teacher's college to a full-fledged university in 1997. Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
A recruitment team from the Bomana Police Training College has been established to review the recruitment program. This follows a directive from the management of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary to suspend the 2017 recruitment for police. The team will review the recruitment program and present a report to the Office of the Police Commissioner before any recruitment can be conducted.
The Police College team are now into the second week of reviewing the recruitment program. Commandant of the training college, Pero Jano, says the suspension of the 2017 recruitment was not a surprise to the college and the college supports the decision. Jano says it will not affect the other two training programs, which include the officer cadet training with the PNG Defence Force and the correctional services.
We now have directed training college, I've directed training college to establish a recruitment team to review all the procedures and criteria that have been used over the last couple of years. And then from that review, we will submit a report to the hierarchies again, to the management.
The decision to suspend the 2017 recruitment for police is a directive from the police commissioner. It was issued after the RPNGC received numerous public complaints and accusations of bias and nepotism in the selection process.
The present template that we use, we'd like to change that. And one of them is the introducing of better health screening. Also doing a better character check on individual applicants, using the local police on the ground and leaders there. Also, the way we send out application.
The suspension means those selected for further interviews and other formalities will remain pending until further notice. Meanwhile, the college administration is adamant that the suspension will not affect one of the goals of the police modernization program, which is to increase the number of police personnel from the current 5,000 to 10,000 come 2018. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Residents at 15 Mile outside of Port Moresby, locally known as Farm 15, consider the area as a home away from home. They said they have been acquainted with the richness of farming produce in piggery, chicken and garden foods. However, accessibility to basic government services has been a worrying concern. Erica Rupma with this report.
Farm 15 area is home to settlers from the islands and coastal region of Papua New Guinea. They have been living there for generations after purchasing the land from the local Koyari people of Sogeri in the central province. A stretch of road accesses them to Port Moresby city, which they sought government services from. However, it has been in a deteriorating state with potholes and puddles that often result in vehicles getting bogged.
The agriculture area, but the only problem that affecting all people don't road toll na.
Living there is like a home away from home, which the residents have turned the land into good use by farming and cultivating crops and sell to obtain an income. On the other side of the Laloke River is a local Koyari village called Mesime. This footbridge where I'm standing on is the only infrastructure that connects Mesime village of Koyari local level government to access government services. Mesime has an estimated population of 1,000 people. However, health and education has been a worrying concern for them. Villagers said when it rains, the river floods to the height of the footbridge, making it impossible for them to cross over to the other side.
Struggle. Come to this side go find market, so make a banana boat come through here.
Erica Rupma, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3075, $0.4154 Australian dollars, $0.2881 euro and 35.35 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and copra closed the day higher, while cocoa closed the day lower. Palm oil and crude oil closed lower, while copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 76.42 points lower, the ASX is trading at 46.74 points lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 44.72 points lower. Stories making headlines overseas when we come back. And China warns North Korea following the latest on nuclear tests and Hollywood's take on politics in the US. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, China has warned that North Korea's latest missile threat could lead to further sanctions. Meantime, U.S. officials are alert on just how soon it could happen.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is ramping up his rhetoric, using state media to threaten to test fire a long-range missile at any moment.
The intercontinental ballistic missile will be launched anytime and anywhere, determined by the Supreme Headquarters.
A U.S. intelligence official tells CNN to grab world attention, Kim Jong-un could time a provocation, like a missile test, to coincide with Donald Trump taking office, a missile capable of delivering a nuclear weapon to the U.S.
An intercontinental ballistic missile test launch preparation is in its last stage.
How close is Kim to having a deployable long-range missile? Analysts say gathering intelligence inside the secretive regime is difficult, and that Kim could have that ability now, or he could be maybe 3 years away. But U.S. officials and outside experts say there's a crucial part of that capability they believe the North Koreans haven't perfected yet.
What they haven't done is, in an all-up test, not only launch the missile, but then have it re-enter for an intercontinental range. Now, having said that, they have done some other things that cause us to worry. This, for instance, is an example of a ground test that kind of simulates the heat attached to reentry, using really another missile engine to burn up the reentry vehicle and approximate the stresses of reentry.
But as North Korea's technology advances, experts warn a dependable long-range missile in the hands of this violent, brash young leader would be a game changer. If and when he gets that capability, how aggressive would he then be?
Kim Jong-un is likely to be more aggressive with an ICBM than without it. The fear is not that Kim will use a nuclear weapon against us. The fear is that he will use conventional force, cyber force, and other provocations against us because he thinks we can do nothing about it.
What will President Trump's options be for countering that threat? Former Defense Secretary William Perry says if North Korea launches a test, the U.S. should consider shooting it down.
Certainly one of those actions could be disrupting the ICBM tests in flight. That would have to be on the list.
If North Korea actually fired a missile toward America or its allies, current Defense Secretary Ash Carter promised U.S. forces would shoot it down. Experts warn hitting North Korean missiles on the launch pad would likely provoke Kim Jong-un into launching a massive conventional attack against South Korea's capital, Seoul, which one analyst describes as a sitting duck.
In the U.S., the feud between U.S. President-elect Donald Trump and actress Meryl Streep has the nation talking. But the battle between Hollywood and politics is nothing new.
Meryl Streep's Lifetime Achievement Award paled in comparison to the attention she got for her speech at the Golden Globes. Streep saying she was outraged by the antics of President-elect Donald Trump.
It was that moment when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter.
And as expected, the person she targeted responded like lightning, his tweet denying he made fun of the reporter's disability and ending with calling her an overrated Hillary flunky.
He says, I don't pick fights, I respond when people hit at me. It's my right to hit back at them.
Streep was a staunch supporter of Clinton, and she's part of a long list of celebrities using popular platforms on stage and online to make political protests. San Francisco 49er Colin Kaepernick taking a knee to protest the treatment of Black Americans by police, spread across the country, influencing whole high school teams to do the same. But it also inspired people to burn their Kaepernick jerseys in disgust, calling his actions unpatriotic. None of this is new.
This is actually nothing new about celebrities speaking out on a certain issue or even a certain candidate. It goes back largely, I would say, to the Vietnam War era.
Most notably, Jane Fonda. She protested the war during her career. She was praised for her stance by some and vilified by others, especially when she was photographed laughing and clapping while sitting with the North Vietnamese at a military site in Hanoi, the enemy. This as the war raged and American soldiers, as well as the Vietnamese, continued to be killed.
I'm sorry that I was photographed sitting on an anti-aircraft gun. Me. That image made soldiers think that I was against American soldiers.
A year later, one of the most famous actors of all time took a stand against Hollywood's portrayal of Native Americans. In 1973, Marlon Brando won the Academy Award for The Godfather, but America's Bad Boy boycotted the Oscars. When his name was called, Sachin Lightfeather took the stage for him, saying he very respectfully cannot accept this very generous award. Some in the Hollywood crowd booed, others clapped, but the protest got people talking. In the 21st century, we are seeing more of these political statements. That's partly because there's easier access to the world. All you need is your fingertips and a cell phone.
Chukai Sports is next. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. 4 academy players have made it into the final Hunters squad, but will be released to go back to gain more experience in the Intercity Cup competition. The 4 players were happy to have made it this far, having gone through the 3 weeks camp with the team.
Aiden Rosa, who has not been selected into any Intercity Cup team yet, plays in the Port Moresby Rugby League competition for the Royals Rugby League Club. He says he is happy to have come this far and to make it through the training camp.
Yeah, well, I came here for one thing and wanted to try and give my best out here and see how it goes. And if I go back to my team, I'll play hard and same way as this, I'll train hard. And if they call up, hopefully I'll come.
Out from Medang Rugby League is Joseph Moke, who at one stage played rugby union for Medang Royals. He will be going back to join the Lace Next Tigers to gain more experience. He says it has been challenging over the past 3 weeks.
From the first start, I was thinking that it's like normal training, but to keep up with the system here is very difficult. We have to step up to put 110% into it.
Mukapita Kula, a prop, will be playing for the Port Moresby Vipers in the Intercity Cup competition. Though it has been difficult for him, he says it has been a great experience.
Play with my club again, and I'll try my best to make it again to the training squad.
The 4th player is Thompson Nyakumba, who was selected from the Highlands Academy. He says it was good training with the Hunters and knowing how tough it is has helped him to work harder when he goes back to play with his Intercity Cup team.
It's good to have training here in Hunters is very, very tough, and well, it's hard to defeat the training, but it's good. It's good to be like this, but we come to this far and to learn new things here. It's very good.
Marum says after they gain more experience playing at the Intercity Cup level, they will be in a better position to put on a Hunters jersey.
All those kids and the future of the Hunters, there's only those young players coming through, so we probably doing the right thing by bringing them into our program and introducing all the basic things, drills to them, and probably in the next 2-3 years they'll be full-time Hunters players here.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
To football, the PNG men's under-17 will attend their 7th OFC Championship qualifier for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup in India in October this year. The squad has been in training since November last year under the guidance of coach Harrison Kamake, who said his objective was to reach the final of this tournament. The PNG team arrives in Auckland on the 19th of this month ahead of the championship for a few lead-up matches against New Zealand and Fiji. They will spend 2 weeks in New Zealand and leave for Tahiti on February 7th for the OFC Under-17 Men's Championship. The PNG Volleyball Federation is setting up a beach volleyball competition which will run every weekend at the Hela beach. President Kila Dick has said he is now focusing on beach volleyball given the inclusion of the sport in the looming Commonwealth Youth Games in the Bahamas and the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games.
The Volleyball Federation will stage a competition this weekend at the Hela Beach, which will see interested individuals participate in the one-day event.
My focus will be more on the beach volleyball competitions because there's opportunity in the beach volleyball at this stage.
The competition will give selectors an idea on selecting the train-on squad to represent the country in the upcoming Commonwealth Youth Games in the Bahamas from the 19th to the 23rd of April.
For the Commonwealth Games, we also have the beach volleyball in the mini games this year in Vanuatu at the end of the year, so we're looking forward to that.
To qualify for the Pacific Mini Games, the national team has to prove that their gold medal winning achievement in the 2015 Pacific Games is not by chance, but they're capable of defending that title as the #1 competitor of the sport in the region.
Lead by a set, 21-12 in the first set, 19-16. This to go to match point.
For our national team. Our men's volleyball team in the beach is the gold medal team, so we do our best to make sure that the team takes part.
And on a low scale, the importance of a junior development program has been one of the main focus for the Federation, having stated that their intention to make sure that every young player gets the chance to reach their full potential in the code.
Teams, we see the importance of our junior development. From my office, we are talking about Bikini Pillai programs, so NCDC will be partnering with Lay Biscuits Company to kickstart the Bikini Pillai program, which beach volleyball will be part of that arrangement, because this year, next year, and 2019, even 20, beach volleyball will be the main focal attention for volleyball in the country.
Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Assistance from the government cannot be referred to as political interference. This sentiment was shared by the Sports Minister Justin Tachenko yesterday in his response to a letter from World Rugby.
Any part of rugby. The Sports Minister expressed disappointment at World Rugby's letter that was delivered last week that stated they do not appreciate political interference.
I have never interfered in rugby union at all, in the administration or the management or the running of the game. I find this letter that I've received from World Rugby Union a total insult to our government and to me as a minister.
He said he has been pushing for rugby union to get their management in order and at times have provided assistance from his end to the code. But he maintains he has never interfered.
The only thing that I have stated publicly when it comes to rugby union is acknowledging the President, Stephen Kami, at a function which was held over just last year. And I don't see that as interfering. Yes, I did acknowledge the new president of rugby union because of the information and the facts that I had been briefed on.
The sports minister believes this could all be a result of misleading information that in turn triggered such action from World Rugby. Meanwhile, he is pleased with the direction rugby union is taking as of this year with the new board and president as per the new PNG-RFU constitution.
Currently, the sport now is moving forward under the new administration and management and appointees.
Rose Raiko, National EMTV Sports.
North Queensland Cowboys forward and Dally M winner Jason Taumalolo's NFL dream is alive with 4 American franchises reportedly interested in him. Taumalolo and Cronulla Sharks Valentine Holmes did light training under the eye of NFL scouts in Los Angeles in November. The 4 NFL clubs have signaled interest and a shift to the US remained a valid option. They now face some tough decisions as they eye their final year of NRL contracts with the North Queensland Cowboys and Cronulla Sharks respectively. And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield, with doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow, in the southern region, cloudy periods with brief showers in Port Moresby, mostly fine in Daru, a shower or two, then cloudy periods in Kerema, few showers with possible thunderstorms in Alotau and Popondetta. In the Momase region, few showers and possible thunderstorms in Lae and Medang, afternoon shower or two in Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, few showers with thunderstorms in Kavieng, a shower or two, then cloudy in Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka. In the Highlands region, chance of shower or two, then cloudy periods in Mount Hagen, Goroka and Kundiawa, and cloudy periods with a chance of a shower or two in Mendi and Wabeg. Forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, Kerema to Yule Island, to Hood Point to Samarai Island. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, Samarai Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, Finschhafen through Vitiaz Strait, CSE Island to Long Island, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Long Island, Medang to Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo to northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 1.5 to 2 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 1.5 to 1.5 meters. And waters of New Ireland to New Britain to Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea. Seas light with northwest to northeast winds at 10 to 15 knots with gusts. In the Solomon Sea, seas light with northwest to northeast winds at 10 to 15 knots with gusts. In the Bismarck Sea, seas moderate with northwest to west winds at 10 to 15 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas light with west to northeast winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield, with doing with Dulux.
Before we go, recapping our main stories for tonight. Call-out forces urging Hela locals to surrender arms. Public servants in NCD asked to be servants of God. And Police Training College appoints recruitment process review team. And that's been the news, sports and weather this Tuesday, January 10th, 2017. On behalf of the entire news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.